Right now, at this very moment, millions of people over 60 are getting ready for bed with a ritual that feels completely harmless, comforting even, a glass of wine to unwind, a nightcap to help them sleep, a small drink that's been part of their evening routine for years, maybe decades. They have no idea that while they sleep, something devastating is happening inside their brain, something that's slowly, quietly erasing their sharpest memories, weakening their mental clarity, and accelerating cognitive decline in ways that won't show up on any test until it's already too late. This isn't about addiction. This isn't about drinking too much. This is about a single glass, one drink, taken at the worst possible time, and the damage it does in those critical hours while you're supposed to be recovering, healing, and storing the memories that make you who you are. If you're over 60 and you've ever had a drink before bed, even occasionally, what you're about to hear will change the way you think about your evening routine forever. Because the truth about alcohol and the aging brain isn't what most people have been told, and the consequences of not knowing could mean the difference between a sharp, independent mind at 75 and one that struggles to remember your grandchildren's names. Let's start with something most people don't realize. Your brain doesn't rest when you sleep. In fact, in many ways, it works harder at night than it does during the day. While your body lies still, your brain is performing some of the most critical maintenance tasks it will do in the entire 24-hour cycle. It's consolidating memories, moving them from short-term storage into long-term storage. It's flushing out toxic waste products that accumulated during the day. It's repairing damaged cells. It's strengthening the neural connections that keep you mentally sharp, and it's preparing you to wake up with clarity, focus, and cognitive strength. But all of this depends on one thing: deep, uninterrupted, high-quality sleep. The kind of sleep where your brain can move through all the necessary stages: light sleep, deep sleep, and most importantly, REM sleep, the stage where your memories are locked in and your brain does its deepest restoration work. Now, here's what most people over 60 don't know. When you drink alcohol before bed, even just one glass of wine or one cocktail, you are directly sabotaging every single one of these critical processes. And after the age of 60, when your brain is already more vulnerable, when your sleep is already lighter and more fragmented, when your body's ability to process alcohol has already slowed down, that single drink becomes a poison your brain cannot afford. The tragedy is that alcohol feels like it helps you sleep. You feel relaxed, drowsy. You might even fall asleep faster than you would without it. And for years, maybe even decades, you've believed that this is a good thing, that it's helping you. But what's actually happening is one of the cruelest deceptions your body can play on you. Here's the reality: alcohol is a sedative. It suppresses your central nervous system. It slows down your brain activity. And yes, that makes you feel sleepy. But sedation is not the same as sleep. Not even close. When you fall asleep under the influence of alcohol, your brain doesn't enter the natural, restorative sleep cycles it needs. Instead, it gets stuck, trapped in the lighter stages of sleep and the deeper, most critical stages, the ones where your brain does its healing and memory work, get cut short or skipped entirely. Let me explain what this means in practical terms. When you drink before bed, you might sleep for 7 or 8 hours. You might not even wake up during the night. But your brain, your precious, irreplaceable brain, has been cheated out of the restoration it desperately needed. You wake up and you don't feel rested. Your mind feels foggy. Your memory feels sluggish. You have trouble focusing. And if you're over 60, you might just dismiss it as part of getting older. You might think it's normal. But it's not age doing this to you. It's that glass of wine you had 3 hours before bed. And it gets worse, because the effect of alcohol on your sleep doesn't end when the alcohol wears off. After a few hours, when your body has metabolized the alcohol, something called the rebound effect kicks in. Your brain, which was suppressed and sedated, suddenly surges back. Your heart rate increases, your stress hormones spike, and you enter a period of hyperarousal that fragments whatever sleep you have left. This is why so many people who drink before bed wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, wide awake, unable to fall back asleep. Their brain is in rebound, and for the rest of the night, quality sleep becomes almost impossible. But even if you don't wake up, even if you sleep straight through, your brain is still being damaged. And this is where it becomes truly frightening for anyone over 60. During deep sleep, your brain activates something called the glymphatic system. Think of it as your brain's waste removal service. All day long, as your brain cells work, they produce waste products, proteins, metabolic byproducts, toxins, and one of the most dangerous of these is a protein called beta amyloid. You might have heard of it. It's the same protein that builds up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease, forming the plaques that destroy memory and cognition. In a healthy brain, the glymphatic system flushes out beta amyloid every single night during deep sleep. The space between your brain cells actually expands, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flow through and wash away these toxins. It's one of the most important protective mechanisms your brain has, and it only happens during deep, restorative sleep. Now, when you drink alcohol before bed, this process is severely disrupted because alcohol prevents you from reaching the deep sleep stages where the glymphatic system does its work. And that means the beta amyloid that should have been flushed out stays in your brain, night after night, week after week, year after year, accumulating, building up, damaging neurons, and increasing your risk of cognitive decline and dementia. And here's the part that makes this especially dangerous for people over 60. Your brain's ability to clear out beta amyloid naturally declines as you age. You're already at higher risk. Your glymphatic system is already working less efficiently. You need every advantage you can get. You need that deep sleep more than ever, and alcohol is stealing it from you. But the destruction doesn't stop there, because alcohol also directly interferes with the process of memory consolidation. Every day, you take in new information, you have new experiences, you learn new things. Your brain temporarily stores these in a part called the hippocampus. And then, during REM sleep, the stage where you dream, your brain transfers these memories into long-term storage in your cortex. This is how you remember. This is how you learn. This is how you hold on to the moments that matter. When you drink alcohol before bed, your REM sleep is severely reduced. In some cases, it's almost completely suppressed, and that means the memories you made that day, the conversation you had with your daughter, the name of the new neighbor you met, the instructions your doctor gave you, they never get properly stored, they fade, they disappear, and you wake up the next day with gaps, with a sense that you should remember something, but it's just out of reach. For someone in their 30s or 40s, this might be a minor inconvenience. But for someone over 60, when memory is already more fragile, when the brain is already working harder to hold on to information, this is devastating. It creates a cycle. You forget more. You feel less sharp. You start to doubt your own mind. And the very thing you're using to relax at night is the thing that's making it worse. And we still haven't talked about the physical impact, because alcohol doesn't just affect your brain's activity during sleep. It affects the structure of your brain itself. Alcohol is a neurotoxin. That's not an exaggeration. It's a medical fact. It damages brain cells. And when you drink regularly, even in moderate amounts, even just a glass or two before bed each night, you are causing your brain to physically shrink. Studies using brain imaging have shown that chronic alcohol consumption, even at levels considered socially acceptable, leads to measurable loss of brain volume. The gray matter, where your thinking and processing happens, starts to deteriorate. The white matter, the connections between different brain regions, starts to break down. And after 60, when your brain is already experiencing natural age-related changes, when you're already losing some volume and connectivity just from the passage of time, adding alcohol to the equation accelerates this decline dramatically. You're not just aging, you're actively, unnecessarily destroying your brain tissue. Think about what that means. Every night you have that drink, you're not just losing sleep quality. You're not just missing out on memory consolidation. You're physically damaging the organ that holds your entire identity, your memories, your personality, your ability to think, reason, and remain independent. Now here's something else that almost nobody talks about. Alcohol dehydrates you. You probably know this already. You might even drink extra water when you have alcohol during the day, but at night, when you drink and then go to sleep, you're not compensating. You're lying there for hours, dehydrated, and your brain is particularly sensitive to dehydration. Your brain is about 75% water. It needs constant hydration to function properly. When you're dehydrated, even mildly, your brain cells shrink. Your cognitive function declines. Your reaction time slows. And the flow of cerebrospinal fluid, the same fluid that's supposed to be washing away those toxic proteins, becomes sluggish. So when you drink alcohol before bed, you're creating a perfect storm. You're preventing deep sleep. You're blocking the glymphatic system. You're dehydrating your brain. And you're doing it at the exact time when your brain needs to be doing its most important maintenance work. For people over 60, there's yet another danger that's rarely discussed, and that's the interaction between alcohol and medications. If you're like most older adults, you're probably taking at least one medication, maybe for blood pressure, maybe for cholesterol, maybe for diabetes or heart disease. And many of these medications interact with alcohol in ways that can be dangerous. Some medications are broken down by the same liver enzymes that process alcohol. When you drink, you're competing for those enzymes. That means the medication might not work properly. Or worse, it might build up to dangerous levels in your system. Other medications, especially sedatives, sleep aids, or anti-anxiety drugs, have an additive effect with alcohol. They multiply the sedation, and this can lead to dangerous drops in breathing rate, heart rate, and blood pressure during sleep. Older adults are particularly vulnerable to this because their bodies metabolize both alcohol and medications more slowly. And here's something that might surprise you. Even common over-the-counter medications like antihistamines or pain relievers can have serious interactions with alcohol. That nighttime allergy pill or arthritis medication you take, combined with a glass of wine before bed, it could be putting you at risk for falls during the night, confusion, or even respiratory depression. But perhaps the most insidious effect of alcohol on the aging brain is what it does to inflammation. Chronic inflammation is one of the major drivers of cognitive decline and dementia. It damages neurons, it disrupts communication between brain cells, and it accelerates the aging process throughout your entire body. Alcohol, even in moderate amounts, triggers an inflammatory response. It increases the production of inflammatory molecules called cytokines. It disrupts the gut microbiome, which is closely connected to brain health. And it damages the lining of your blood vessels, making it harder for oxygen and nutrients to reach your brain. For someone over 60, whose body is already dealing with more baseline inflammation just from aging, adding alcohol to the mix is like pouring gasoline on a fire. And when you do it before bed, when your body should be in recovery mode, you're preventing the anti-inflammatory processes that normally happen during sleep from doing their job. Now, here's what makes all of this even more heartbreaking. For many older adults, that evening drink isn't about pleasure. It's about coping. It's about loneliness. It's about anxiety. It's about the stress of aging, of losing friends, of worrying about health, of feeling less useful or needed. It's a way to quiet the mind and escape for a little while. And there's no judgment in recognizing that. But the cruel irony is that the very thing you're using to cope with the emotional challenges of aging is making the cognitive and physical challenges of aging dramatically worse. You're trading temporary comfort for long-term decline. And because the damage happens slowly, invisibly, over months and years, you don't see the connection until it's too late. So what does all of this mean for you? If you've been having a drink before bed for years, is the damage already done? Is it too late to change? Here's the truth, and it's more hopeful than you might think. Your brain has a remarkable ability to heal, even after 60, even after 70 or 80. When you stop exposing it to alcohol, especially before bed, it begins to recover. Your sleep quality improves, often within just a few days. Your REM sleep returns, your deep sleep deepens, and your glymphatic system gets back to work, clearing out the toxins that have been accumulating. Within weeks, most people notice their memory improving, their mental fog lifting, their energy returning, and over months, actual structural changes can occur. Studies have shown that people who quit drinking can experience regrowth of brain tissue. Not complete reversal of all damage, but meaningful, measurable improvement. The key is understanding what to do instead, because if you've been relying on alcohol to help you sleep, you need a replacement. Something that actually works, something that supports your brain instead of destroying it. First, establish a real wind-down routine. An hour before bed, dim the lights, turn off screens. The blue light from phones and televisions suppresses melatonin, the hormone you need to fall asleep naturally. Instead, read a physical book, listen to calm music, practice gentle stretching or breathing exercises. Give your brain the signal that it's time to rest. Second, watch your evening eating and drinking, but not in the way you might think. A light snack with protein and complex carbohydrates an hour or two before bed can actually help you sleep. A small handful of nuts, a piece of whole grain toast with almond butter. These stabilize your blood sugar through the night and prevent the early morning wakefulness that many older adults experience. Stay hydrated throughout the day, but taper off fluids 2 hours before bed so you're not waking up repeatedly to use the bathroom. And if you're someone who associated alcohol with relaxation, try herbal teas instead. Chamomile, passion flower, valerian root. These have actual calming properties without any of the brain-damaging effects. Third, address the root cause. If you've been drinking before bed because of anxiety, stress, or loneliness, those feelings are valid, but they deserve real solutions, not a temporary numbing agent that makes everything worse. Talk to your doctor about your sleep issues. Consider therapy or counseling. Join social groups or community activities that give you connection and purpose. These things actually heal. Alcohol only masks. And finally, be patient with yourself. If you've been drinking before bed for years, your sleep might actually be worse for the first few nights after you stop. This is normal. Your brain is recalibrating. It's learning to fall asleep naturally again. It might take a week or two, but push through. Because on the other side of that adjustment period is sleep like you haven't experienced in years. Real, restorative, brain-healing sleep. Here's what you need to understand. Your brain is the most precious thing you have. It holds every memory you've ever made, every person you've ever loved, every skill you've learned, every part of who you are. And unlike your heart or your liver, you only get one. You can't transplant it. You can't replace it. You can only protect it. And right now, tonight, you have the power to make a choice that will determine what your brain looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Whether you'll remember your grandchildren's graduations, whether you'll be able to live independently, whether you'll recognize your own reflection. That evening drink might feel like a small thing, a harmless pleasure, a deserved reward after a long day. But in reality, it's a choice between temporary comfort and lasting cognitive health, between a few minutes of drowsiness and years of mental clarity, between independence and decline. And the truth is, you don't need alcohol to sleep. You never did. What you need is to honor the incredible, irreplaceable brain you've been given, to protect it, to give it the deep, healing sleep it's crying out for, to let it do the maintenance work that keeps you sharp, present, and whole. So tonight, before you reach for that glass, ask yourself one question. Is this worth my memories? Is this worth my mind? Is this worth my future? Because your brain is working for you right now at this very moment, allowing you to hear these words, to understand them, to consider them. It's been working for you every single day of your life, without rest, without complaint. And it deserves better than to be poisoned during the only hours it has to heal itself. You deserve better. You deserve to wake up clear-headed, to remember what matters, to stay yourself for as long as possible. And it starts with what you choose not to drink tonight. Your brain is counting on you. Don't let it down.